you're sitting on a tractor all day, right? When something goes wrong, you got to swing into action and deal with it, right? The rest of the time, you keep the tractor on path. That's what these well pads are like. I've actually said this to one of the farming representatives, because if you hire some, apologies to those of you like myself who have an engineering degree, we get trained in a lot of theory, we get trained in a lot of design. We're not very good at sitting on a tractor because we can't sit still without daydreaming, right? That's what happens to a lot of people with a theoretical degree. Rural people, especially those from farms, are very good at staying in focus on what's in front of them. And when you're looking after a well pad with 8 or 16 wells, they run fine all day, but as soon as something goes wrong, you got to swing into action. And
Because
that's,
things do go wrong.
things will go wrong. What happens is,
as the weakest person.
absolutely. And so the training is critical, but we're not talking about rocket science here. We're just talking about people who are diligent. I can't think of better people to do that than local people. I can only tell you that from experience because I'm from Saskatchewan.
Yeah, because you don't know.
Well, no, what I mean
You
is,
know our local people.
well, I don't think they're all
You don't
that
meet down
different.
there, that's about it.
Well, no, I only met James here, about 3-4 weeks ago over an email, and we needed somebody who is local to,
But he's not local, he lives in Dublin, don't you, James?
Well, I live here in Carrick-on-Shannon, where I was born, bred and raised.
he's from Dublin.
No.
Could you introduce us to your
Yeah, your
Oh,
name.
certainly. Dr. Tony Basley, or Tony as we just like to call him, is former director of the Geological Survey of Northern Ireland. So he has a lot of experience. Tell him a little bit about your background, where you live.
okay?
Yeah,
No, just names will do.
Well, I spent 20 years working in conservation, landscape conservation and geotourism.
Cool. And this other man?
This is James. He lives around here right now, right? You've been back for 3 years
I'm
or
a
so?
neighbour of John Crowling's over there.
James, sorry, what's your second name?
James Campbell from Courtruber, Carrick-on-Shannon.
Cool.
Born, bred and reared in the town. Leitrim man, and Muscatine. You know,
James, how long are you working for Tamboran?
Shame on you.
James,
what
how
happens when
long
you get in the
are
middle
you
of it.
working for Tamboran?
Looking for a quick
less than a
stop.
month at the moment.
You told me last week on Twitter that you didn't work for Tamboran.
Lies.
I didn't say that.
You said that it was news
Well,
to
actually,
you
I'm
that
not
you were
working.
for
No, I'm
Tamboran.
actually a consultant for
James
my
is a
company.
consultant.
Working.
I'm not working. No, I didn't say that. I said
You said it
that's
was
new
news to
news.
you that
No,
you
no,
were
it's
connected with Tamboran.
quote unquote new news to me.
Pedantics.
This is the manipulation of
Check it out.
words that will happen.
So far you've been nice team. Who's this
I
other
don't
man?
know what his conversations are, but James has been consulting for us. His whole purpose
Well,
in
he's not been
Carrick
very
has been
forthright
to,
about it.
well,
Why are you ashamed of it?
I'm not ashamed of. I'm not.
Why deny it?
I'm not denying. I didn't
You did
lie.
last week.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
well, I think given the booing and the hissing, there might be
Trying to
signs
get better
of that.
people. Who's this other man here?
Oh, yeah, Carl Prenderville.
Carl.
Carl
How you doing?
lived in Ireland for 14 years, based in Dublin, worked in the gas industry in Ireland mainly, and I've worked in oil and gas all over the world.
Thanks.
So, super, yeah. And yeah, these fellows, of course, at Dublin, near Belfast, James has been helping us get people aware of the meeting locally. You're obviously aware, I hope, so that's good, on Wednesday. No, exactly. We, for example, about 3 weeks ago, we sent all our meeting notes out to Leah Doherty, Johnny Gogan. We put them out to all the newspaper people that follow us. We've, of course, got on our website and so on. And if you've seen the advertisements are out. So we sent to Phil Flanagan in Fermanagh, for example, the MLA. We sent to the planners and all of that. So we've been making a very concerted effort to try and get people out, because the last thing I want is, to have one of these community meetings and very few people show up to hear anything, because we don't really get to do this. These are not mandated meetings. There's no consultation bonus points or anything like this. We just thought, look, everybody's hearing different things about the project, and you've asked some great questions here tonight, and you demonstrate some great thoughts, and I support, again, your right to have your opinions on all of this, okay?
But why is it done that the local politicians knew nothing about it?
Well, no, that's a very good question. Our approach initially was with regulators, because they're the people who actually are our final bosses under the current rules. They decide whether we pass or fail with a plan we give them, right? But then we said, okay, no, we've got to get out to the communities, because especially in the Republic, the council planners have no mandated role as far as I know right now. And so what happened is council planners made contact with Tony. We see Sligo. Am I saying that right? Good. Sligo.
None of the Sligo
planning-
politicians knew about it.
No, they wouldn't. We see the planning and infrastructure committees first. And what happened here is they saw us a couple of times and then said, well, I think we better get you in front of the council. And so we got invited to today's meeting. Of course, this summer they take the August off, or we probably would have been here sooner. But they invited us to this next one. We have a Cavan one next week, Monday, I think, right?
What time?
Do you know?
The Cavan
It's
meeting,
public, 12th.
it is the 12th and it's in the morning.
Yeah,
It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
there you go.
And when's the Sligo one?
Well, it's an infrastructure one. I think it's just
not-
14th.
It's the 14th and off the top of my hat, time, I think it's in the morning, about 11:30.
That sounds right. That
Just
sounds right.
11:30.
That's for the Sligo one?
That's for Sligo.
That's Sligo,
Industrial Town.
only one subgroup. It's their
It's not the full
transportation.
committee. Yeah, it's not the full
So it's the
committee.
same day you're in Ballyconnell.
Yeah, we have a long day. So, welcome to trying to get the word
Long
out.
day
but-
for us as well then.
Well, absolutely. It's the same day for everybody, isn't it? But
We're not hiding anything, you see, from these things, and we're really not.
no, and I really appreciate
Because
you
people,
engaging
everyone's
me
saying
on
we're not
a-
telling the truth.
What's your line on the landscape then? So this, because of your background, what's your line of the future of this
And I do
landscape?
really encourage
I don't
you
think
to
we'll damage the landscape.
How can you say that?
You're welcome.
You don't think you fracture the earth?
Well, you're right. You're quite right. Standing here now, I know we won't damage the landscape.
I mean,
Look,
the thing is,
the pads are going to be industrial sites,
Is a big.
and they're going to be very carefully controlled.
It really is.
Concrete.
But
So
But
whether
how
this
do
yes,
is
yes, that's right.
Accidents happen.
But you see, they're actually they're a very small proportion of the landscape, and they're a couple of kilometres away from each other, and they're not as tall as wind farms, for instance. You won't see them. Yes, they will. And money is put aside. If there's gas, money is put
We
aside.
will see them. I live beside that. We will see them. We live here.
you stop at simply
I don't think
saying,
you'll see them
"Stop
from
this,"
Loch
or
Allen,
"Stop
because we're
that,"
working quite a long way north of Loch
Well, then
Allen.
all local people, we will see them.
then get your
We will see the
council-
I mean,
trucks
the
that
problem
will drive
is with
through our town.
us is you're not the only
Oh yes,
one.
we're not saying that these are not.
We don't
You know,
stop
there
it.
is an industry going on, so
That's
there will
right.
be
We
trucks.
don't stop it
There have
and
to be
it
trucks and
cracks
things
we open
happening
ourselves up
to
a
build the
lot
pad,
more
if you
than
like,
just
and
the
to
industrialization.
do the drilling.
And that's our concern and that's our fear.
We accept that.
All the concrete
Get
will be removed,
consultation
everything
and
at
the
the end.
participation.
At the end, it will, yes. It'll
How
have
come
to
and then,
go.
I live in a Rigna and there's a pad there that's been done since the 1980s. The concrete has never
And I
been
say that to you
removed
in all
and that is still
fairness,
there.
because we
And that is
support
1.5
that.
miles
We-
before
we
flies
want
from my
that.
house.
Just
Well, it's
because
That may
I
not
want
be
it
your
to
personal
use it.
responsibility.
No, it isn't.
But that is not clean.
It isn't. I asked the same question actually, and I understand that the farmer wanted it left the way it was.
It doesn't belong to the farmer. It doesn't belong to a
Very
farmer.
good job.
So you don't
It
know.
belongs to an oil
Well, no,
company.
I
It's
appreciate
2
it.
acres. I went there
We've
a
had our
couple of
fun at
days
West
ago.
Americans,
It's
for
still
example.
not a greenfield
But
site.
the,
It never will be. It's concrete and stone,
Well, I don't know
flattened,
that
like you do a pad, and it's there, 1.5 miles from where I live.
It doesn't belong to an oil company.
You know, honestly, I say this because I look at like Johnny Logan, who's actually campaigning for all this stuff.
We asked locally.
Effort because I think he recognizes that it really
I'm
is
not
about
actually
getting
sure. It's between a Rigna and
all the
Kilkierden. I
things in
couldn't swear
place,
it's in Roscommon.
not just I couldn't swear to stop.
I don't think there are any companies owning any land.
Oh, yes, they
having
do.
any rights to own on
I've
that.
asked the local people.
From the guy talking to you?
I will ask the Petroleum Affairs Division, because they hold.
That's the man who sold the land, for goodness sake, and he doesn't own it.
See, the thing is that we won't try and get
Goodness
anywhere.
sake, the man is still living
Try and
there.
get somewhere with these guys.
He doesn't own the
You know, the
land.
people in Dublin.
Yeah, and
Because
and-
that's, you know, so in a way you say that
Along
you're
with the
here as a
concrete there.
courtesy. We're kind of
Since the
here as a
80s.
courtesy as well. So, you know, we could have booed you right out of the room and not sat and talked to you
Yeah,
at all.
and what's been done about
But,
it? Nothing.
you know,
no, and I do really appreciate you taking the time to hear and to talk with me and us about this.